A lot of big numbers being thrown around silicosis claims. What do you think should be done to nip the silicosis issue in the bud?
The Constitutional Court made two very important points. Firstly, that you do have the right to make a civil claim on the issue of silicosis, and the second point I think is connected to the first, that the compensation systems that are currently in place, so people are paid for them, are inadequate compared to the broader COITA system, which is the compensation issue or the compensation system that operates across the country. And so I think the most important points to take from that are, as an industry, we need to understand that point and look at the structures that are required that address that concern that was raised in the Constitutional Court. So I think that's an issue for ourselves as an industry, for the government, for the unions to come together and make sure we sort through so that people have certainty in terms of those areas, and the approach is appropriate given the feedback from the Constitutional Court. It is disappointing to see these numbers banded around. I think they're just off the wall. The only way to combat that over time is to make sure that we get the right messages out. We're doing our homework as others are, and we'll come out with that over the next period of time as we work through what the issues are. But I must make the point that the Constitutional Court did not rule on the merits of the case. That is still potentially a very long and involved process, which all sorts of processes you go through. So we're only in a first step, which basically validated the right to appeal, and it made an observation about the compensation system. The compensation system is something we can do straight away, and that's what we're going to work with government on, and I think that's the right approach. As a chamber, take this issue very seriously, and so we're all working together to look at the right way to engage government to get the right answer for the long term. It impacts everybody in the industry, and so we have to find an industry solution. You know, we are such an important part of the country, 8% of GDP direct, 20% of either direct or indirect jobs in GDP. This is something that we all need to work on to make sure we get right. And
the government, is it also engaging the mines at the moment? Or
well, certainly they're thinking the issues through. What their view is, you'll have to ask them, but this is a matter that everybody needs to address together in a constructive way.
And the figure of $100 billion US has been mentioned as a potential damage to the industry. $100 billion US. Do you think it could ever reach that sort of level?
Well, I don't know where they got that number from, but certainly that's not a number that we've seen anywhere with any logic that we can see support. So I just have to say I'm better off not even commenting on that sort of number that's being shot around. It's just off the wall.
And that would be greater than your your market cap and that of your peers.
It's just not a realistic number, so I'd leave it at that.
And do you think there is scope for a new structure for people being compensated fairly?
Well, I think there has to be. I mean, that's what the Constitutional Court was telling us. So, South Africa, we understand the importance of the Constitutional Court's view. Ultimately, they're the final word on the matter. So it's up to us as an industry now to get on with looking at what structures are appropriate for the industry. This has been an issue in industries right across the world. Yet this was identified 10 years ago, and as a South African industry we had an objective by 2013 to stop all new cases. We've made tremendous progress. We're still working on all of those issues. We've made tremendous progress over the last 10 years, and we're continuing to focus on those issues, and it's no different to our approach on other injuries in the workplace. It's about creating an environment where no harm's done.
There's no other model anywhere else in the world that could be followed in terms of compensation structure?
Well, there are many models, and I think what the Constitutional Court was saying, that the current system is probably the right model. In the end, we have to work with industry to firm that up, but the Constitutional Court, I think, made the observation that, in fact 2 years ago, I think they said that the COITA system was appropriate, and that's not the direct observation they made in the court case, but they did compare one against the other, saying that the current system is inadequate. From an industry perspective, the quicker we work together with the government to find the right remedy so that South Africa has the right compensation system for this type of thing as identified by the Constitutional Court, the better. And I would hope that it's months, not longer than that.
Donate now and give 15 Rand a month. SMS JOIN to 41486.